All right, let's hit the speed bag here on Making the Rounds. Dan Raphael, HBO announced Wladimir Klitschko's next fight on Saturday. What can we expect?
Well, I think what you can expect is another dominant Wladimir Klitschko victory. It's not that his opponent, Kubrat Pulev, is not a good fighter. He is a good fighter. He's 20-0. He has 11 knockouts. He's got good experience. He's got good size. But we're talking about Wladimir Klitschko, the most dominant heavyweight champion of recent times, of maybe the last, since the days of Tyson in his heyday. So, it's a test, I guess. It's one of the better opponents he's faced in a while. But I don't think we're going to see anything different than we've seen for the previous numerous fights that Wladimir has had, and that's another Klitschko victory. The interesting thing about it, as you mentioned, Jim, it's HBO announced that they're doing the fight. This is the first of a 3-fight contract with Wladimir Klitschko. They brought him back on the network. It's about time. And in addition to that, Vladimir's got some things on his mind going into this fight. The fact is, his longtime partner, Hayden Panettiere, the famous actress, she is due with their first child. It's going to be a girl, and she's due just a couple of weeks after the fight. And Wladimir is a little concerned. He doesn't want the baby born before he gets in the ring.
Understandable, right, Brian? You're up next.
That's a power couple right there, Jim.
Brian Campbell. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. signed with Al Haymon. How does that impact the career, Brian, of the popular former middleweight titleist?
Well, first, of course, they're going to have to resolve the fact that he still has one fight under his deal with Top Rank, according to Bob Arum. Whether that's resolved in the ring or in a courtroom, moving forward, of course, this could be big for Chavez in the case that when you're with Al Haymon, you get big paydays. Oftentimes, in situations, you're putting fights where you can win. Now, of course, there are rumors of where Al Haymon's going, whether he's going to bring his fights to a new network, have a new plan of business. This is the right kind of fighter from a marketing sense to launch that. Provided, of course, that Chavez remains serious about making weight, about fighting regularly. Still a big name, still a very marketable guy.
Al Haymon gets his meat hooks into another fighter. Dan, Keith Thurman turned down a multi-fight, multi-million-dollar offer from promoter Rock Nation, Jay-Z. He actually countered a 3-fight, $6 million offer, but he opted against the deal. Why?
Well, Brian was talking about the fact that Chavez signed with Al Haymon. Keith Thurman is also with Al Haymon, and he feels comfortable with him. I talked to Keith about the contract offer at length, and his perspective was, hey, listen, I appreciated the offer. I appreciated the Rock Nation interest. It was a lucrative offer, and I was very flattered about it. But he said he was very comfortable. He was already training for a fight December 13th. That's going to be against Leonard Bundu, not a big name, but he said he'd be making a 7-figure payday for that fight. But Keith is such a confident fighter. He believes that the offer, while good, that Rock Nation made, that whatever happens, as long as he wins, he's going to be making that kind of money next year under his current agreement with people he's familiar with. So he said thank you, but no thank you. He believes he's going to a point in his career where he'll be making that kind of money and much, much more. But it also shows you that Rock Nation Sports is very serious about being involved in this promotional business. That's not the first multi-million-dollar offer they've made to fighters. They offered a similar kind of agreement, even a bigger agreement to Deontay Wilder, who also was with Al Haymon and turned it down. But they're here, and I think they're going to make their presence felt. Whether Keith Thurman took their money or somebody else will, they're going to be around for a while.
Brian, you have our Twitter question. Sammy Boxeo in the house. At Sammy Loves Boxing, no G at the end. Sadam Ali remained unbeaten by way of a 9th-round knockout of Luis Carlos Abreu. This welterweight from Brooklyn, is he the real deal in a loaded division?
Saturday night looked like he's close, Jim, because this was a coming-out party. Look, and sometimes in boxing, you're only as good as your last fight. In Ali's last fight before this, it was almost a life-and-death situation and a split-decision win. But he came out and completely turned the script of what we think of him against Abreu. You may call it boring in the first few rounds, but he completely neutralized Abreu with his movement and his boxing ability. And once he had him hurt, Jim, and Abreu has been a durable guy, once Ali had him hurt, came in and was able to finish him. Very impressive.
You love calling out the up-and-comers, right?
It's all about who's got next.
I found him. I noticed him. Tweet your questions to @ESPN Boxing or B. Campbell ESPN using hashtag ESPN Rounds, and we will provide the answers. But that's all our time. For Brian Campbell and Dan Raphael, I'm Jim Basquil. We are making the rounds right here in the boxing page of ESPN.com.